Hello, and welcome to another edition of True Audiofiles. My name is Jim Carter, and today we will be talking about Super Deluxe versions of old albums and the costs associated with them. So, for those of you who may not know, but if you're watching this, there's a good probability you do, the growing trend in the industry is to do some reissues that have a bunch of extra bonus tracks, maybe some live concerts, and tchotchkes with them. And kind of want to see what you guys have to say about this, but I'll let you in on my take on it. I don't like the prices that they tend to charge for them. I think that doing it as a general rule, I think is very cool, because I love, especially when it's with some of my favorite artists, I really love hearing the demos and the outtakes and the alternate versions and things on that nature, maybe remixes or surround sound mix versions of them. So to kind of go in a little bit more detail, I guess I've kind of told you a lot of what they tend to have in them, but you know, that's kind of the appeal for at least me, is just the fact that I can get maybe a new fresh mix of it, or a surround sound mix. If you have a surround sound system like I do, it's pretty cool listening to kind of a surround sound mix, or if it's an old enough record where they made a quad mix of it back in the 70s, having that inside of the box set I think is really cool. But the big thing for me is just being able to hear maybe some of the outtakes, some of the tracks that maybe never got released, or maybe they were tracks that were recorded in that time frame of when that album was being made, but they redid that same track later in their career. And I have a couple of box sets that I will be showing you that, and in one of those cases that was what happened with a couple of the tracks that are in it. So I really like the idea of the Super Deluxe tracks and the Super Deluxe versions. You know, a bunch of people that have been doing them. Some prime examples, there was Led Zeppelin, Paul McCartney, the Beatles, of course, Beatles, Paul McCartney, Prince. Prince's estate is starting to do some of these reissues, Metallica, and we're going to actually show you a couple of the ones that I'm talking about here now. Well, let's start with the Metallica ones. I think the Metallica ones, here's the one from Kill 'Em All, were done very well. I think they've got a lot of great content in them. You know, this one, for example, has all of the Metallica ones anyways come with a great big book that have a lot of bonus photos in them. They come with some records, like a record of the original album remastered, maybe a concert, maybe some special bonus records of stuff that was released back then that is no longer available. Like in the particular case here, there was an EP called Jump in the Fire, and I can kind of maybe show you. This is kind of the listing of all the stuff that it comes with. But the Jump in the Fire EP is one that I think I had it on cassette. Now I don't think that I have ever had it on vinyl, but it was available on vinyl as well. I don't know if it was ever available on CD, but so you get that kind of stuff in their box sets. There's so many outtakes and maybe like the original thought, if you will, or the thought process of the beginning, early stages of what ended up being a song on the album. Really some really great stuff. The next one that I'll show you here is the newest one to my collection, that from one of my favorite artists. This is the Prince 1999 LP box set. What I really love about these is, as some of you may know, Prince was just very prolific, especially in the early to mid 80s. And he just made hundreds and hundreds of songs, a lot of which never really have gotten an official release. And they were in his vault when he died. And they have people going through them now, kind of going through and cataloging all of the stuff that was in his vault. And in the meantime, when they've been doing that, they've been making some box sets. Like they made a deluxe version of Purple Rain, which had a disc or two of bonus unreleased stuff. The 1999 one has, I think it's 4 records, but 2 CDs worth of unreleased tracks, and there are several of them that are basically the first versions of tracks that ended up later on some albums that he did later, like on Graffiti Bridge album, and can't remember. There were a couple others that ended up on later albums that that are very cool to hear, kind of the first early versions of them. And you know, the other thing that I really like about the Prince ones also is they release all of the alternate versions of the songs that have been released. You know, like the 7-inch single, the 12-inch extended versions, also the alternate B-sides, because Prince was well known to release songs that have never been heard before as a side B. So unless you bought the single back then, you were not going to be able to have that song available unless you bought also another great kind of a greatest hits collection that was released back in, I want to say it was the early 2000s or late, maybe mid 90s actually, where there was a disc of most of his side B stuff that got released. But unless you had that or the original side Bs, you weren't getting those songs. So the one thing I don't like about a lot of them is, especially the ones that come out on vinyl. If you are like me, I love vinyl, and I love the physical nature of the vinyl and just being able to put it on and listen to it. But I want to have the convenience as well. So I do record all the records that I listen to digitally, so I can then listen to them on, you know, a portable music player or my iPhone or whatever it might be. What I would really love to see in these deluxe box sets, and only a couple of people do this, and I'm thinking specifically of Paul McCartney and Led Zeppelin, is give us, when we buy a super deluxe box set that we're paying $100 for or $150 for or whatever the price is, because they get up there. I think the Prince one was right around $200 because it comes with 10 records and a DVD, is I would love to have a lossless digital version that I can download so I don't have to record the records. And I also get a surface noise free version of the music as well. The Prince record came with MP3 files. The Metallica one, I think they came with MP3 files, and I know that there are lossy versions or lossless versions available for both. And I've seen them. Like Metallica sells the high-res versions of their box set stuff on their website. And that really infuriates me because especially the later records that have come out, or albums I should say, like Injustice for All and Master of Puppets, those were like in the $150 to $180 range. And you know, if you're going to charge someone that much money for a single album, granted it's got a lot of extras on it, give them the high-resolution version as well. Don't make them have to go to your website and pay an additional fee for the high-resolution versions. I just think that is really cheesy and dirty, especially when you have a big fan that's already paying a lot of money for that box set. So, in short, again, kind of to summarize, I love the Super Deluxe box sets, especially from the artists that I really love, like a Prince. I think that in a lot of cases they overcharge for them, and when they do overcharge for them, as long as they give you everything that was from that deluxe box set, including lossless digital files when you buy the record box sets, I would think that just seems to make sense to me, that you should give them, someone who's spending $150 or $180 or more, give them those as well. It just makes sense to me. And I think that is everything I have on these. I will say, actually, one other thing that I did remember. I don't know if you can really classify them per se as super deluxe, but I want to give a shout out to, I guess the biggest one is XTC, but also Jethro Tull to a certain extent as well. They remix their albums and put them out in box sets that are much more affordable, usually within the $30 to $50 range, and they have either as much or more than most of these deluxe editions that you see from like Prince or Led Zeppelin or Paul McCartney, and they're generally a half or a third of the price. XTC is really most known for that, and what I really like a lot about them, and most of the remixes that are done by Steven Wilson, well, if you don't know who Steven Wilson is, Google him. He's an amazing artist and a great engineer for remixing. When they do reissues, the deluxe reissues, they put the remix version and the original version on disc so you can have it. Plus, they give you all the alternative extras and things like that. Like the XTC ones in general, I don't know if I've paid more than, I don't know, $30 or $40, and in a lot of cases they give you like 2 CDs and then a Blu-ray. That Blu-ray has high resolution versions of the remix, the original master and mix, outtakes, demos, live concerts. You know, generally 3, 4, 5, 6 CDs worth of information on that Blu-ray, and most in high resolution. And again, it's all for like 30 or 40 bucks. And I just think that is the way to do it. And I wish more artists did it, but I understand the money is in charging $100 to $150 on super deluxe versions. So that's my take. I would love to hear what you have to say. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that think spending $100 to $150 or more on an album just because it has a bunch of extras and maybe a book with it is absurd, but I'd love to hear your take. I personally love them. I don't love the price, though. I wish they would be a lot cheaper, but that is the way it is. So if you like what you see here, please like this video. And if you want to continue to find out when I make new videos, hit the subscribe button and the alert button, which will tell you whenever I release new videos. Thank you for your time, and you have a great day.